have Donald Trump Jr., who was in court again this morning. There he is. You hear the protesters chanting, crime family, and that is basically what these people are, a crime family, a very dumb crime family, the Gambozos, if you will, and...
In the event that a joke told late at night may bring down a whole political dynasty, it wasn't just Trump that Jimmy Kimmel called out. Through the use of live television, he crushed his ego and brought Donald Trump Jr. along for the most humiliating ride of his whole life. Both the father and the boy became a laughingstock across the nation as a result of a remix that went viral worldwide. Jr.'s frantic efforts to defend his father only served to make the situation even more terrible. Imagine a toddler throwing a tantrum and the energy of a failing podcast host, ranging from mayhem in the courtroom to meltdowns on a cartoon level. It wasn't a comedic moment, it was an attempt to destroy Trump's reputation, and the final blow was so vicious and so personal that it could very well put a stop to the Trump name for good.
Don Jr., he's so embarrassing. He's on the stand, he's testifying in this $250 million fraud trial, and he has to compliment. He said his father is an artist with real estate. Yeah, he's an artist. He's Vincent Van Gogh to jail with real estate. He also boasted that his dad is the father of hotel gyms. He said, maybe someone put a gym in a building somewhere, but no one did it at the scale of my father. He's saying that his father, the father of the hotel gym, is a guy who's never stepped inside one, okay? The amount of ass-kissing in this trial is insane. DJ TJ, of course, denies any and all wrongdoing and is instead going with the "our accountants did it" defense.
No, Jimmy wasn't simply making a joke when he said that. At the same time that Trump Jr. was attempting to rationalize phony assessments by believing the experts, he ignited a bomb. All of that logic was turned upside down by Kimmel. In the event that something goes wrong, should people sue their doctors? Even if the ridiculousness seemed too true, he asked in a scornful tone. The entire defense that Trump Jr. had put up suddenly disintegrated into a farce. And then the bomb went off. A remix of the song Macho Man by the Village People was released by Jimmy. However, he reworked it to be called Taco Man. The events that followed were nothing short of political devastation. In addition to being humorous, the parody was also a form of weaponized satire. The audience laughed. Trump did not, which is what made the situation much more dire. It was a huge hit on the internet. Within a matter of hours, Taco Man became a popular fad, was choreographed, and rapidly spread over all screens like a disco bullet. It was not merely a joke, rather it was a reset of the culture, and Trump's breakdown had just started.
I'm not supposed to rely on a big five accounting firm, like one of the biggest accounting firms in the world. I can pay them millions of dollars. I rely on them to do accounting, but I'm supposed to know more than them. By this logic, insurance companies are going to start suing patients for listening to their doctors. Right? Do you understand? Like, am I supposed to know more? Oh, Don Jr. doesn't know anything about it. I'm not an accountant. I'm a business guy.
I'm a business guy who had his elbows soldered together, and now I move my arms like a Muppet all the time.
Court did not result in the collapse of Trump's empire. The meme grew into a movement, but it wasn't just Twitter trolls who fueled the fire. It was the Taco Man remix that began to spiral out of control on TikTok, spinning out of control from remix videos to roosters with MAGA hats made by artificial intelligence. Wall Street insiders whispered a term that made everything even worse. TACO. Trump always chickens out when responding to a jibe at his cowardice. It was then that the true explosion occurred, after which the acronym spread like wildfire. A reporter had the audacity to inquire about Trump's new title when he was attending a press event. Rather than dismissing it as unimportant, he exploded and referred to it as a snide inquiry. For an individual who was obsessed with his appearance, this was a death sentence by ridicule because that moment was caught, memorialized, and replayed endlessly. He desired to remain silent. In addition to a nation laughing at him, he was given a disco anthem, It is what?
What have they been asking the kids? And tell me how they fit into all of this.
They don't fit into all of this. What have they been asking the kids? It's very simple. They'll ask the kids, did you give a value to somebody? Did you do something? And everybody said resoundingly no. And these kids did nothing wrong. They should not be in this case. Ivanka's already out of the case. The boys should not be in the case.
That's right. They're just boys. They're kids. Eric has a book report due this weekend. They're both still wearing pull-ups. They're on trial? I mean, come on. Don and Don Jr. had some father and son event this weekend. They went to the UFC fight at Madison Square Garden. There they are. Trump's being cheered on. With he's got Dana White there. He's got Tucker Carlson in the back. He's got Kid Rock in tow. And, of course, oh, yeah, there we go, a little fist bump. Don Jr. was thrilled to be a part of the group. He posted this picture of him and Tuck cackling in their blue checker print shirts. A couple of banana Republicans right there. And
what was it that triggered him even more? For the digital age, there was no mercy for 4AI. Within 24 hours, the image of Donald Trump had been rebranded by artificial intelligence, complete chicken armor, lettuce wraps, and deep phony voiceovers that presented him as a tyrant of the fast food industry. Taco Man was no longer considered a meme. It was a revolution, and while Trump was scrolling through angry tweets, the real gut punch came in the form of a Rolling Stone report that revealed how his White House had made not one, but 2 phone calls to Disney demanding that they rein in Jimmy Kimmel. That's right, Trump was trying to cancel late-night jokes while he was in possession of nuclear codes. "I call Mickey Mouse," the President of the United States of America informed his staff in a very exact sentence. "I am targeted by bullies. You are not able to make this up." On the other hand, Jimmy did not waver. In point of fact, he increased his efforts. The timing of his actions could not have been more cruel.
busy time for Mike Lindell, no doubt, but even busier for our embattled former president, who I guess in an attempt to mend the wall between himself and the Latino community, sat down on his balls for an interview with Univision, where he was taken to task on a number of subjects by one of the toughest journalists in any language. You see where this is going? Oh, let's find out.
Buenas noches, and welcome to the Univision interview of Donald Trump. Mr. Trump, first question. Stormy Daniels say you have a chalupa that is very small. ¿Es verdad?
I do.
Me too. It's okay. Okay, next question. What would happen if you stopped eating at McDonald's?
They would be out of business. They'd be out.
Because you eat so much.
I do.
Me too. What about Melania? How would you describe your marriage?
It's a hoax.
Yeah, that seems right. I have to say, you look very orange today, sir. Some people say you look like an Oompa Loompa. What do you think of the Oompa Loompas?
They're energetic people. They have more energy. They're very smart. They're incredible people. They're passionate people. You know, it's always tough to generalize about people, but you can. You know, some people say, oh, that's not good. It's not politically correct.
You're probably right. It is time to stop being so PC about Oompa Loompas. Great point, sir. Oh, I have another question for you. Can you tell me who's this?
That's Silence of the Lamb. That's Hannibal Lecter.
Do you know him?
He's a friend of mine. He's a tremendous man. He's been very loyal to me. I've been very loyal to him.
Next question. Who are these guys?
These are people that are very, very disturbed, very, very mentally ill.
Yes, they seem very bad and very ugly too. Anyway, thank you for inviting me to your very weird house. Before I go, I have a surprise. It is my honor to announce you have been named Mexico's 2023 Pendejo of the Year. You look great, sir. Like a real pendejo.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. That was my exclusivo interview with El Pendejo número uno, Donald Trump. Back to you in the studio, Tony.
Great. Very good. Great work, Guillermo.
Exactly when Trump believed he had the ability to kill the joke ended up killing the image. It is not enough to say that Jimmy Kimmel survived Trump's wrath. He succeeded in making it the headline of the top page. There is a desire from President Karen to talk with my boss. When he made a joke, the people of the United States couldn't stop laughing. A man who had previously armed the Department of Justice was now complaining to Disney like a Yelp. From the perspective of the reviewer, it was political theater at its most embarrassing. Yet, hidden beneath the comedic lines was a really serious message. When someone with uncontrolled authority lashes out over late-night humor, what else could possibly cause them to overreact? This man is incapable of taking criticism with a positive attitude. Foreign leaders, Supreme Court verdicts, nuclear diplomacy, the terrifying aspect is not the joke, rather it is the outburst. And Trump's outburst was only getting started when it occurred.
How weak and pathetic is a guy like that? The Tonight Show, which is dying. They're all dying. Where's Johnny Carson? Bring back Johnny. It made you appreciate, right, Uncle Sam? It made you appreciate the greatness of Johnny Carson. I go on his show, and he goes, "Is that your real hair?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Do you mind if I mess it up?" So he grabs it, and he starts really going crazy, right? And everybody laughed, and it was a big thing, and it was a big hit. It was all over the place, and he got great ratings and all. And 6 months later, he went out because he was under pressure to apologize because he humanized Donald Trump. Do you remember? And he stood up and he said, "I'd like to apologize. 6 months ago, or whatever it was, I messed up Donald Trump's hair and it humanized him and he became president. And I would like to apologize." How weak and pathetic is a guy like that? And his show died, but the other two shows are dying.
There was a global firestorm that was fanned by the Supreme Court, Jimmy's jokes burned through MAGA's morale, and Trump's anger leaked into national policy while he was fuming over Taco Man. Justices who adhere to the conservative ideology have raised doubts about the constitutionality of the AR-15 ban, which has effectively opened the door to even more gun pandemonium. And while that political bombshell dropped, Trump remained focused on his battle with a late-night host, while real-world rulings endangered lives, and he was stuck blogging about being harassed in a state of wrath. Justice Thomas advised against waiting too long to legalize the most popular assault rifle in the United States. Think about the fact that a former president, who was once trusted with the nuclear codes, is now being triggered by parodies and puppets. The more frightening concern is that if a nickname like Taco can cause him to go into a meltdown, what happens when foreign leaders challenge him? We are already familiar with it, and it never has a happy ending.
President Trump flew to Rome to pay his respects and also to see if he could get a deal on the Pope Mobile to drive around his golf course. For whatever reason, even though the Vatican dress code specifically recommended a dark suit for the service, Trump showed up in his bluest blue suit. Something from the Cedric the Entertainer funeral collection. You know, Fox News, you may remember, had a collective aneurysm when President Obama wore a tan suit to a press briefing. Man, oh man, if Obama wore in a blue suit to the Pope's funeral, Sean Hannity's head would explode inside Trump's ass. The fact that he was the only person not wearing a dark suit did not go unnoticed, so the White House press secretary pushed back. She said the president looked great and presidential alongside our stunning First Lady, who was, as usual, dressed perfectly for the occasion. And she's right about Melania. I don't know about stunning, but she definitely looks stunned. Show them together, because this is the happiest I've ever seen these two together. It's like they're on their second honeymoon or something.
While Trump was busy clowning around with retaliatory tweets, he discreetly doubled taxes on aluminum and steel without drawing attention to himself. Meanwhile, another battlefield was lit up, and it was world commerce. As a consequence, American manufacturers were forced to scurry. The prices skyrocketed, and factories began to relocate their operations to China. China, Toyota, Nissan, and Volkswagen are all huge corporations that Trump has pledged to keep in the United States. Instead, production was increased in Beijing, and they are now producing automobiles for every country with the exception of one. And you can guess which country it is. To put it another way, the first president of the United States of America was responsible for the creation of the most America-last supply chain of the decade. The most important thing is that these actions were not strategic. Their feelings were intense. He did not have a firm grasp of economics. At the same time as TikTok was dancing to Taco Man and Twitter was laughing about President Karen, he was fuming over memes. Meanwhile, the global market had silently left the United States behind. As a result of the ego of one individual becoming a geopolitical liability, we are all now paying the price for it.
On this one, he's claiming that paying women to be quiet is not a crime. It's basically a parking ticket.
It's not a crime. We're here for something that is not a crime. Literally, legal experts, legal scholars said they don't understand it. There's no crime. And there was no crime here at all. Virtually every legal scholar says they don't understand it. There's no crime. Even if he was guilty of something, there's no crime.
Even if he was guilty of a crime, for instance, there's no crime. Your Honor, if there's anything I'm guilty of, it's loving too much. And then tomorrow in New York, the judge is expected to rule in the $370 million civil fraud case against Trump. Let me tell you something. If he has to pay $370 million, we're about to see an explosion unlike any we've ever witnessed before. I would love to be a fly dodging ketchup bottles on the wall for that moment. I really would.
In the courts, the chaos did not end with the trade. The public's trust was harmed as a result. The preoccupation that Trump has with controlling narratives has become more apparent than it has ever been. It has been established by Rolling Stone that Trump did not respond with facts when Jimmy's jokes became too biting. After picking up the phone, he sent 2 separate requests for censoring. This wasn't just a tweet that was trying to be passive-aggressive. These calls were organized by the White House, and they demanded that Disney put an end to their comedy. Have you ever considered the possibility of a sitting president abusing his power to stifle satire? And for a short period of time, it was successful until Jimmy turned it into ammunition. In most cases, when Trump wants someone to stop talking about him, Jimmy says that he pays them $130,000. Nevertheless, he asked me to do it for free. With just that one line, Jimmy deconstructed the image of Donald Trump, made fun of his controversies, and brought to the attention of the American people who is truly silenced when power is abused.
And then the president either went deep in prayer or deep asleep. I don't know. Meanwhile, our former president, Joe Biden, was there, too, and he was chatting people up like he was a greeter at Walmart. He was all over everything. Trump and Biden did not cross paths at the funeral, and Trump did not give Biden a ride on Air Force One. As is tradition, when presidents attend the same event, they often travel together, not these two. Biden was like, you know what, I'll get on a Spirit Airlines over there. And this is interesting. Biden wore his trademark aviator sunglasses to the service, but it got me thinking, I've never seen Donald Trump wear sunglasses. It was a very sunny day. Lots of people you could see had sunglasses on, not Trump. In fact, if you Google Trump wearing sunglasses, you get thousands of pictures of him not wearing sunglasses, except the only pictures of him wearing anything even like them are shots of him during the solar eclipse. The glasses he then famously took off so he could stare directly into the sun. Weird though, right? I mean, he golfs a lot. He's outside a lot. I'm wondering why he doesn't wear sunglasses. Because it's Biden's thing, or did he wear them once as a kid and his dad said, you look stupid, like his sons, Eric and Don Jr.? I don't know the answer. It's the only thing I don't know about this person. I think he would look good in sunglasses. Get him a pair like Elton John's. Maybe he would turn everything around. Shortly before the funeral, Trump took a moment to meet with President Zelensky of Ukraine. They had a private meeting in the least private spot imaginable. This reminds me of I don't know if you remember, a very similar meeting that took place long ago in a galaxy far, far away. This was the first time Zelensky and Jabba the Pizza Hut have met since the setup in the Oval Office back in February. This time they both violated the dress code.
There is no thicker irony than this. Trump attempted to remove the joke, but he wound up bringing it to the forefront of attention while he yelled about ratings and referred to Kimmel as being untalented. Simply for the purpose of watching the most recent roast, millions of people tuned in, and each and every outburst that Trump made added gasoline to the flames. One tweet, one tantrum, and one new nickname. In proportion to the volume of Trump's protests, the internet laughed more and more. The joke of his own administration was that he became the punchline. And if that doesn't worry you, it should, because every chuckle was a warning because it was hidden underneath the laughter. This individual is incapable of taking a joke, let alone a challenge, and when he is made fun of, he does not simply become angry. When he becomes hazardous. If you give someone like that unrestrained power, the comedy will come to an abrupt end shortly. What begins as satire frequently results in subpoenas. What begins as laughter frequently results in courtrooms and commotion. And here is where things turn bone frightening. Not only does Trump Trump's failure to handle humor embarrass him, but it also reveals a profound flaw in the way he perceives power to be in his possession. When he is unable to cancel you through influence, he will try to intimidate you. Jokes are a form of betrayal, criticism is a form of sabotage, and parody is a form of treason. In addition to getting under Trump's skin, Jimmy Kimmel annoyed him. While he was there, he constructed a summer house. Imagine for a moment that Jimmy was not renowned. For example, he could have been a journalist, a teacher, or a protester. Do you think the phone calls would cease at Disney, or do you think they would get worse? We have already witnessed what took place on January 6th. As a matter of fact, this script is not about making laughs. This is about how fragile democracy becomes when its leaders perceive dissent as an attack on the democratic system. In addition, that is not merely pitiful. Now we are in the midst of a crisis.
Mr. Soprano was in Charleston, South Carolina last night, where he took some time to boast about his golf game and complain about chubby photos.
Did you see the picture of me, the horrible picture with the stomach out to here? That was... So what I do is I'm putting up today a picture of me actually, what I actually look like, hitting a ball, smashing the frickin' ball. And you'll see quite... I wouldn't say slim. I wouldn't say slim, but not bad. But the ball does go far. I would say it goes about 9 times further than Biden can hit it 9 times.
Right. Well, you know, and in that case, you got my vote if you can hit a ball 9 times further. And what picture is he even talking about? This is one of those things where he's pissed off about something nobody else even knows about. So then we look it up and we know about, but I still don't know which picture it is. I mean, is it this picture of him? Is it this one? Is it this one? I don't know. There were so many. I don't know which fatty shack I'm not supposed to look at. And by the way, that not bad picture of him smashing a ball he said he was going to post, he never posted it. Somehow he wasn't able to locate that one.
The first. Trump's psychological disintegration became the main headline as the taco guy tale spiraled out of control and became increasingly out of control. He wasn't only reacting to her. During that very moment, he was declining. Every joke that Jimmy told shed light not just on his ego, but also on his frailty. Furthermore, the more he attempted to bury it, the more it buried him completely. Trump was stuck tweeting old jokes and Googling Ivanka in a bikini, as the rest of the world watched leaders of the globe figure out how to address genuine challenges. In no way was he leading. He was going in circles. Even his own allies began to withdraw, murmuring that the emperor was naked without robes, and that the only thing he had was memes. And the terrifying part, he is still under the impression that he may triumph once more. Parody is not the only thing that haunts him. He is a kid. Because once your name becomes a national punchline, the damage is not only political, it is permanent. And Trump is branded for life. This is why he is characterized by kid. In spite of Trump's best efforts, his attempts to retaliate were unsuccessful. The message actually read like a plea for assistance, despite the fact that he attempted to make fun of Jimmy on Truth Social by labeling him a washed up and unfunny person. The fact that he punches me so frequently led me to believe that I should also hit him. This is not a wise plan. That's a large-scale manifestation of insecurity. Jimmy didn't utter a single word when Trump was crying it out on the internet. Simply smiling, he understood that there are times when silence is more powerful than a scream. The previous president, who had been admired and feared in the past, had become the background noise to his own collapse. Every retort met with a retort, and every clapback was unsuccessful. It wasn't Jimmy who lost control, rather, it was Trump. And as that fact played out in the United States, people witnessed what happens when the most powerful guy in the world becomes the target of every joke and is suddenly unable to take it. It wasn't the punchline that was the true twist, though. What was surprising was the amount of harm that Trump created by attempting to stifle a joke. Because of his wrath, he revealed every flaw in his personality, which included being delicate, volatile, and paranoid. It was not enough for him to simply demonstrate Jimmy's point. He also amplified it, and what started out as a single insult became a national mirror. Trump demonstrated to us how quickly power can be turned into petty power, how quickly a leader can become a liability, and how simple it is to trade diplomacy for ego. While the internet laughed, the consequences piled up, including economic, political, and global consequences, factories that were destroyed, courts that were divided, allies that were alienated, and all of this because one man was unable to handle being mocked The more serious joke was, it is possible that Trump's concern with being tough will be seen as the most cowardly legacy in the history of the presidency. This is because there is nothing that sounds more like a sign of weakness than attempting to cancel a comedian. There is no longer any way to disregard the pattern at this point. The satire of late night, it was a worldwide commerce backlash that he attempted to censor. In court, he blamed the media for winning the case. He reacted angrily to the judges. Strategy is not what this is. In other words, it is a symptom of a guy who believed that leadership was synonymous with dominance and that devotion meant remaining silent. However, the United States of America is not constructed in such a manner. The foundation of it is openly ridiculing power as well as opposition and inspection. Because of this, satire is important because when the truth is punished, jokes become the last form of resistance that people have. And it wasn't just that Trump didn't comprehend that, he actively battled against it and ultimately failed. Because in the end, the United States of America didn't require a hero to expose him. A joke, a remix that went viral, a microphone that was accessible late at night, and a nation full of people who were finally willing to laugh at the king were all that was required.